Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Kristen, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Amber and Cindy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hope you guys are having a great week so far. This week, our topic is finding your voice, and when I was thinking about this, like the title, like just the phrase itself was captivating to me. So I was like, ooh, okay, let's do this. Finding your voice. What does that mean? Like, I think most people might think becoming confident, speaking louder, or
speaking up,
singing, even
setting your boundaries.
Finding what do you want to do?
Right. Being authentic or public speaking. Right.
Yeah.
I used to think it meant being more confident. But now I also think it's more about becoming more clear. Confidence isn't the first step.
Right.
Clarity is.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you're not confident in what you believe in,
right,
then it's hard to voice that.
Right. You have to be clear in order to be confident.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So your voice is just not how you speak. It's what you've decided is worth speaking about.
Okay.
And so I wanted to, have this topic. And so I wanted to start off with a few questions.
Sounds good.
I think it kind of also stems off of our not to-do list episode that we had a while back.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Too. So these are actually some funny questions. Like, I think maybe like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have known the answers to these at all. But this year, with my word, exploring like what devotion means, I've actually been diving into some of these a lot. And so the first question is, what actually bothers me? And that one actually I think is the one I haven't touched on as much, because I think sometimes when I'm bothered, I try to avoid it.
Right. I try to avoid thinking about it.
Exactly, because then I don't want to get all like
riled up
about it.
Yes.
And some people find themselves doing that, avoiding it because they feel so passionate about it, and then they don't know what to do.
Do with that energy, right?
That kind of goes with the episode of like that we did where how do you make yourself do the things that you don't want to do?
Yes. Yes.
It's very much like that. Very relatable.
And so just like if you ask yourself, do you know the answers to that? Like what actually bothers you? Like things you can actually like tangibly or turn from thoughts into words. That's what I mean.
I mean,
there's a lot of things that actually bother me, like, inconsiderate people.
Right.
Well, yeah. That
was a
bothers
huge
me too,
one for me.
Right.
And
so
especially
then you can
in
peel
traffic.
That. Yeah, you can peel that back
absolutely.
to understand why it bothers you.
Right.
Specifically, because there's a lot of different ways that people can be inconsiderate. So then you can understand really what it is that you're being bothered by.
Well, I think that kind of goes to like the personal rules and the personal code that we all have, our morals that we ourselves follow, and it bothers us when people are inconsiderate to our personal morals and values.
Well, I don't even think it's just that. It's, to me, I think it's like people who are inconsiderate are only considering their own
so therefore they're not considering your comfort. They're considering their comfort.
So
that's
not
your
just
personal values.
Not just particularly my personal values, but the public in general. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Maybe. I mean, maybe their public is different than your public.
Well, I'm talking about people like that just shove a shopping cart across the parking lot and don't care who's
really
and don't put
you?
It back.
That's what.
Well, I mean, that's
really
just,
grinds.
No,
your
but
gears.
that's just an example of that.
Well, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Examples,
yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's just an example of something. Somebody who just shoves it over there and then it runs into somebody's car. They don't care.
Right.
It's I'm going out on a limb here by saying that most people would find that offensive. Most people would be bothered by a shopping cart sailing across the parking lot.
Well, sure, especially if it's
car.
your car that gets hit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not talking about just my sense of morals. It's not about
like
just my morals. It's about that stop and think before you do things. That's what I.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Dive deeper
that's,
into it.
Well, that's
it's not just a shopping cart that like really
no.
bothers
It's
you.
the stop and think about your actions, and a lot of people don't do that.
Most people don't do that. Yeah.
No, they don't. And I'll be honest. I don't stop and think about things too. We're humans. We are innately wired to consider our own self-interest first. And that's part of that survival instinct.
To a point, there are a lot of people
you can train
out there
you can train yourself to think
consider others before they consider themselves. Like but especially mothers,
right?
They will starve before that,
right?
Because so their child can eat.
But
they will
before they became mothers, they still had that innate sense of self-protection. And in fact, raising children is a form of that survival instinct. So in protecting those children, you are preserving your genetic issue. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the animal instinct that's hardwired into us to
I think
of ourselves first.
A lot of people that that do, like, especially the inconsiderate things, they're young and they don't. I'm not saying that everybody's young, because I know plenty of old people that don't consider, plenty of everybody, even mothers that don't consider other people aside from themselves. I think that like a lot of people have to have like a something that happens in their life to get them to expand their world.
Oh, I absolutely believe that.
Like whether it's motherhood or say my example in my life would be my mother getting sick and me, kind of putting my self things aside. So yeah, I guess like a personal example from my point of view is that I felt like I was pretty selfish and inconsiderate until my mom got sick, and I went and I took care of her and only cared about her and my grandma.
Right.
For many years, I didn't, do things for myself, like even eat properly, or, I made sure that both my mom and grandma were fed properly and everything else, and then I would just be exhausted and go to bed or or something like that. So I get it, like some things have to happen in people's lives for them to like expand their worldview.
I agree. And it doesn't even have to be something that makes you have to think of another person. It could be something that someone's inconsiderate behavior affects you.
Yeah, made you think about it, yeah.
And then you realize that's really inconsiderate behavior. I wonder if I do that, or have I done that? I need to stop doing that, or whatever, so. Yeah.
Well, and you also have to consider that the people that you may consider being inconsiderate or not thinking about other people.
Well, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Well,
they may be thinking
I didn't
about
finish what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they did consider it and they don't care.
Well, there's that too.
So,
and there are a lot of people that don't care.
Finding out what bothers you and then exploring it, seeing it from all the sides and really peeling it down and getting down to like what exactly specifically it is that bothers you can help you find a voice, because then what it is that you passionately feel bothered by.
And really, that word "finding your voice" really, in this particular circumstance, means setting your boundaries.
Yeah.
Once you understand what it is that really bothers you,
because you can't just go around yelling at the shopping carts for not being put away,
right?
But
could you imagine Cindy doing that, yelling at shopping carts?
Yeah,
you could choose to set a boundary of only parking at the far end of the parking lot where there aren't any shopping carts around, or setting a boundary of not being around the people who choose not to honor your boundaries.
Is that finding your voice though, or is that?
Yes, because setting a boundary is finding your voice. You are stating what your boundaries are.
Okay.
I believe it is.
Okay. And that's definitely an interpretation of it.
I think maybe what I was talking about was just being more clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're being more clear to yourself.
Being more clear to yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question is, what gives me peace? So kind of the opposite of that.
What gives you peace, Amber? I answered that first one. You can take this one.
Golly, why do you give me the hard one?
Like the other one wasn't hard?
Oh, yeah, that was easy for her to tell you what bothers her.
God, it was really easy to tell what bothers you.
And that's that's the problem, is that we don't stop and think about what gives us real peace.
Exactly.
This is an interesting thing that I'm going to come at from a weird, it's not a weird perspective, but it's, I was trying to explain anxiety last night to somebody that doesn't generally have anxiety.
Oh, yeah. People who don't have anxiety
and
just
it's
don't
hard
understand.
for them, and when you have anxiety like I do, everything bothers you.
Yeah.
Like the state of student loans right now in the United States, that directly affects me, so that directly bothers me. The state of education and the changes that the state of Texas is making to education currently bothers me, to the point that I lay in bed awake at night and think about the state of education in this country.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, and that gives me anxiety.
Okay.
So,
you found what bothers you, actually bothers you.
Well,
yes.
look, I'm getting there.
Yes.
When you have such anxiety that I have, it is hard to figure out what your peace is.
And that's totally understandable. So someone who's in a moment of anxiety, it is hard to hold on to anything. And that's why I think whenever people have anxiety attacks, they say to name 3 things.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's 5 things.
It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
5 things that you see, etc. For with your senses, pretty much.
Keep explaining it to someone who may not know.
Like it's like 5 things that you see, 4 things that you feel, 3 things that you hear, 2 things that you smell, 1 thing that you taste, something like that.
And that is grounding you in reality.
That is a grounding that you're around. So I guess like what brings me peace, and I've thought about this a lot, like my happy place or whatever.
Yeah.
And this might be weird to some people, but thinking about my cats.
With their furry fur fluffing around your neck.
Cuddling with my cats.
Yep.
That's a lot of people, their pets are what bring them their peace. Yeah.
That's what puts me to sleep at night. My cat Chewy getting on top of me and purring me to sleep, and my fingers tangled in his hair. That is what will put me to sleep. He sleeps next to me. He knows he's a comfort to me. He takes up half of my side of the bed because he's a 22-pound cat. And he can stretch out along the whole cat because he's a Norwegian forest cat, and that's the second biggest size of cat. And I will fall asleep just like my hands tangled in his hair. And that calms me down.
Yeah.
After playing like a million games on my phone trying to fall asleep, and it not working.
That does not give you peace.
Yes,
the
I know
games
that.
do not give you peace.
No, they
you
give me
escape.
anxiety.
Yeah, but they give you anxiety because it's like, must solve this puzzle.
Yes, exactly. And I like to do the puzzle games and the matching games and the word games.
Yep.
That's why I quit doing Duolingo, because it gave me too much anxiety.
Well,
Y'all are both trying to get me to do Duolingo, and I'm like, no, it gives me anxiety. I can't do it.
I think in a world where you are measured by performance, anything where there's a timer, a score,
right? Yeah, those things.
Winning.
Those things take away the peace.
They do.
Anything
we don't realize them.
As a teacher, and your job as well,
Yes.
also, Kristen.
My entire job
based
is
on
performance.
Yeah. Anything as a teacher, anything working in like a company where they measure you on, even fast food. When I worked at Brahms, we had a timer on our drive-through that we had to get that person from when they start to order and through the drive-through in less than 7 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. We had to, that's including them ordering and taking like 5 minutes to order. That's including cooking
stuff you
the
start
food.
making the food.
Yeah, that's including cooking the food, bagging the food, taking the money, then paying, slow internet, money going through, whatever, counting out change. Our performance was rated on 7 minutes.
Wow.
And I don't know how it is today. It might just be, but like I know when I worked in fast food at Brahms, that like the people that they had on the drive-through were, because we were timed, were the most efficient.
Right.
And that's the most efficient on the register. I mean, they had the second most efficient person at the front doing the long line out front, and then like the rest of the people
expect.
The rest of the people were scooping ice cream or cooking or whatever, but they had the two most efficient people on the two main registers, and I had too much anxiety to really move to drive-through. I had to work at Brahms for years before and the one in Vernon, like Debbie never moved me to the drive-thru because she wanted me up front, because I guess I was the most charming to talk to all of the customers that came in person. And I was the fastest person on the register at that store. And so, but the most like moving efficient, and usually Debbie, our manager, who was the most efficient person in that store, she did the drive-thru herself because she personally needed to do that 7 minutes.
Right.
She would only let the other slower people do the drive-thru during slow hours. But yeah, even in fast food and restaurants, they're timed and we're all based on performance and efficiency.
Yeah. Right. So finding peace is something that requires no measurements, no expectations, no performance.
Yes. Yes.
So if that's the question that you struggle with, finding a way to slow down even just to answer that question can be really hard. Yeah. I think I found, totally gonna air it out there, I use ChatGPT too.
Oh, I do too.
I told ChatGPT to ask me a series of questions. That way it wasn't giving me the answers, it just asked me questions. Without answers. And you can tell it that. Say, ask me questions without answers. And so that I can find peace. What peace is to me, because I was having a hard time with that. Like I could imagine a peaceful place, but
those are great.
How do I know to get there?
Those would be great journaling prompts for your journaling.
Absolutely. And some people are easy; they can free form journaling, but it can be challenging for someone who gets blank page syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And so I think even just typing it, or even finding a
avoidance
friend.
Syndrome.
But like right now we're talking about it, and I can see both of y'all's gears, going, oh man, I'm thinking about how I can find peace. And Amber is going, okay, I know what peace is now. How can I incorporate that?
Right. I mean, I have too, because I've worked on that with some of my goal setting things.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to incorporate it. So I'm not going to leave here any better than where we started.
You're not going to cuddle with your Chewy anymore?
Well, I will cuddle with my Chewy.
Yeah, but
That's
now
what she's
you
talking about.
know when you are feeling like, oh my gosh, when you start thinking about
when you
the
start
things
having that
you
anxiety, you
the
know
things
that
you
that's something
can't
that calms you.
change, like you personally cannot change the state of the student Texas education. They voted on that rule. I don't remember getting a chance to vote in that. So
no, you didn't. But don't ever say that you can't affect the
I'm
change.
just saying.
Okay.
But when you're laying in bed
you
at
can't
3
change it in the middle of the night
or
while you're
it's
having anxiety.
Well,
Sunday
that's
at
when
5
you're
and you're like sweating it because you're thinking, oh man, you just thought, oh, I gotta go back to work tomorrow, and then you start getting into panic mode. Go lay down 5 minutes with your cat.
Yeah,
and don't think about it.
I used to have that mode, like whenever it was the end of the summer and school was going to start back. I used to have like 2 weeks of like panic mode. And it took many years for me to get to the point where I'm not in that panic mode, where I'm like laid back and I'm like, everything's going to be okay. Those lesson plans will come when they come. And the first day of school is not going to be bad because we're going to get through it and we're going to chill. It took me many years to get to that point, and now when I look back and I see first-year teachers, first, third, fifth-year teachers, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm past that. Since we're like year 12 or something like that, or year 12 teaching, not in education, year 15 or 16 in education.
Here's another question for you then. What are you protecting? That's a question. What are you protecting? And that's very in general, right?
What are you protecting? Oh, I think we try to protect our peace, for one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But are there other things that you find precious enough that you would protect?
Sanity.
My family.
My cats.
My family unit is my big thing. Yeah. I worked very, very hard my whole life to build a cohesive, close family because I grew up in such a, can I say shitstorm?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that whole family unit as a whole functioning where people are close and trusting and open with each other is something huge. And I am very, very, very protective of it, like a mother bear. I really, you could relate me to a mother bear and her cubs. It's like, and when I say that family unit, I'm not just talking about my children. I'm talking about the whole extended group, including my, adopted children like Amber and Crystal and Ashley, and my brother and his children. So, but that whole thing, protecting that serenity and that closeness, because
it's like an ecosystem you
it
created.
is. It's a family ecosystem sort of. And protecting that environment and not letting things not just disrupt it, because every environment changes over time, but not allowing something, a predator or something foreign, like you get invasive species of zebra snails in the lakes that kill off all the stuff and wreck the lake, or things like that. Crabgrass in your yard will kill off your grass. And so you want to be very vigilant about anything that disrupts that gentle ecosystem. And you can always put more flowers in the garden or whatever, but you have to make room for them, and they have to be something that's not going to take over the whole. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I think mine, since, you said like a lot of the things that I would say already. Another good one would be I protect my reputation.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Because as a teacher and then a counselor, reputation is everything.
Yes, I do that as well, and I have, in the same mother bear kind of way, kind of tried to protect, and that sometimes you have to be careful of that because it can backfire on you. But I feel that way too. Protecting my reputation and what people think of me. So yeah,
I think the thing that I found this year was protecting my personal time.
Oh,
because
yes.
being like, I need like that alone time so I can energize and decompress. It's like doing both. It's weird how it works. Like, I need to have my own thoughts without external interruptions. Right. And then I need to be able to do my own personal creativity explorations that sometimes require me just being alone. And that's always been, even since I was a little kid, like I liked just closing the door and being me, playing in my own little environment. And, that morphed into me being a teenager and like plastering the walls in my own little creative space.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that ever since then, I've had like my own little corner.
Right.
Anywhere I've ever lived, even when I had to share, my home with someone else, I think, except for like my dorm room, but I always had my room at home to come back to.
Well, you still had like your
own
little space in the dorm room. Like,
but I mean, that was a small moment when it was less, of me just being alone. And then, probably when I lived in the apartment with Travis and Raina, I did not have a space.
No, you didn't. Y'all had, none of you had space.
That was when I really realized, like, wow, I didn't realize how much I needed that until it was, like, completely gone. And, I managed, but it took a lot to get back to that. Like, I struggled with that. And even when my office was in the same room as my creativity space, that even like hindered that, because then my alone time was still like, I don't know, like I felt like it was being shared, in some sense.
It is Virginia Woolf that said a woman needs a room of her own.
Right.
Yes. And I have, I feel like I have to protect that, because if I don't make sure that there's time for me to spend there in some way, whatever it is I choose to do, right? Whether I'm just reading a book, which seems so like we take that for granted, just being able to read a book without someone interrupting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why you enjoyed reading your book at nighttime. Because no one's going to walk up and start talking
like I
to
say,
you.
a lot of people take it for granted, but for me, for someone who never had any of that personal space, because I grew up with siblings, we had shared rooms.
Bedrooms, yeah.
I couldn't decorate things the way I wanted to. The only space that was my own was my bed, which was a bunk bed up high. So, if it had been even just a twin bed, it could have been subjected to other people sitting on it or whatever. But that was the only space that I had that was my own. And, so I shared my room. I never had alone time ever.
Yeah.
Or my own space or anything like that. So,
and you probably,
I really,
because you
really
didn't have
value
that,
that
you
now.
made sure my brother and I did, because you let me close the door.
Yes.
Like, as a mom, I saw that, like, oh my gosh, kids behind a closed door, and it would make me nervous. Like, I hope they're not setting the place on fire, or I hope they didn't sneak out the window, or, but then, like, you also trusted you're playing with your toys, and I appreciated that, because some kids aren't allowed to close their door, and we take those little things for granted, and
I totally set things on fire and
I
sneak out the window. And my door was open when I did that too, because I don't like closed doors in my household.
Yeah.
Like it's like a personal.
It's
thing
so
for
funny.
me.
And see, I must close the door when I sleep because that's my privacy.
Yeah.
No, like I can't. Like it's like in like this weird thing in my mind. Like I need to hear everything and be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to be ready for, but I've
That's
never
funny.
been able to close the door.
But yeah, I've been focusing this year on protecting my personal time, and I feel like I probably overscheduled myself for so many years.
We all do. We live in a society where productivity is king.
Yeah,
You know?
and then working and like at that time when my job was like, you can have as many overtime hours as you want, and I was like, okay, cool, 60 hours, yeah. So and going to school during working and all of that personal time, what's that? And now it's like, okay, I put my foot down. This is my day where I'm not talking to nobody, or these hours are mine. No, I'm not gonna help you mow the grass,
right?
Because you chose to do it during the time when I
feel like I only get personal time in the summer.
Yeah.
Then I have too much personal time, and then I get the summertime
and then
saddies.
you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So, one other question.
Okay.
What kind of person am I trying to become?
Oh, that's a good one.
So, and thinking about, bringing it into, obviously finding your voice. So, I was talking about like protecting, my personal time, me setting my foot down, that was me realizing like I need that time for my mental well-being, because doing my creativity time, whether I'm just coloring with crayons or shredding paper and licking glue and glitter,
licking glue,
that's nobody else's business but mine. And
I feel that.
I don't need to explain myself either when I have my personal time. Like, if I don't feel like doing something, I don't have to explain that. And that was my voice. But having the clarity to explain why.
Right.
Also helped people, because some people, like, don't understand things unless they understand it. If that makes sense.
When you know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so being clear about something helps, because if I just explode and say, leave me alone, right. I'm not being very clear.
But that's going back to setting clear personal boundaries.
Right. It's about clarity. And then the confidence comes through when you're clear about what it is that you need. If someone is giving you the ick,
you need to figure out why.
Yeah. Understand what bothers you, why it's intruding on your peace. What is it you're trying to protect? And then what is it you're trying to get out of that outcome? Right. Because oftentimes people give us the ick, or they bother us, or whatever reason we need to set a boundary, because we don't like the way we feel when we're in that situation. But you can't just tell someone, like, go away. They don't understand, right? But if you can say, when this happens, I don't like the way I feel. Right. Then it becomes, who are you trying to become? Not you trying to force someone else to do something different, or, it becomes more clear. Then you're not hurting someone else's feelings. And if you do hurt their feelings,
it's on them.
It's on them, because you didn't say, I don't like you and I don't want to spend time with you.
Or you make me feel this way.
Yeah. Because then they feel obligated to change. They feel a certain type of way. Their feelings are hurt. Right. And then they're unclear on the reasoning. So I feel like that helps you find your voice. That could go for anything that's important to you. Right. Like Amber's, political concern about education system right now. What kind of person do you want to become, Amber, from how that makes you feel? finding your voice in those emotions, right?
Well, I can become an advocate in the education system and advocate for change. One thing that I did do was, and my friend Stacy does it every year, and she told me about it years ago, and I guess at the time I was just still too young or full of myself to think about doing this, but every year she goes to Austin and she's on the STAR Test review committee. And she works to change the way the test is given. Now, really, though, they don't take that into consideration, but it is a small step.
Yeah.
To have
it
people.
Absolutely does, because when there's enough voices, then someone has to listen.
Somebody has to listen.
They get heard. And I think that's exactly what it is, because you find what bothers you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you know what you're protecting, which is your values as an educator. And the person that you want to become is not somebody who
just sets and lets
those things happen, because it takes your peace away, because you've already identified that steals your peace.
Yeah,
right?
So I applied
Nice.
to be on, for next year, the review committee.
Oh, good.
Very cool.
Good.
And honestly, I think that's the greatest place, because you're finding where your voice has power too. And I think that really takes it into a whole nother level. It's finding your voice first, finding what it is that's important to you, what you're passionate about, and then channeling it into a place.
Yeah.
And that's and I think that is why I need that personal time, because that is my voice. That is how I self-reflect.
Your art is part, or whatever you're doing in that time.
Part of how I deconstruct emotions and feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should move to Austin. I really wish
so
that
hot
if I lived closer to Austin,
Not far enough
I
to
could
drive. It's not too far to drive, girl. No.
Yeah, I know. I live closer now than I lived in Vernon, but if I lived closer to Austin, I would join the protests and sign up for all of the education committees. It's closer for me now. It's just, there are other life things. Time. It's you have to take off work to go and do those things. So,
but there's still small things you can do without getting involved in those. Like writing
you
letters
are
and
caught or seen protesting or doing those things, it could have a negative effect depending on where your superintendent's political leanings are concerned,
and what your contract says.
And what the contract says.
But it doesn't preclude you from writing letters to your congressman or to the governor and explaining why you believe what you believe.
Right. And I think that more people should do things like that.
Absolutely.
Because, I get when people go and complain about something on social media. It might reach some eyes, it might go viral, but really, you're not doing any difference. You're not going out and voting for change.
Yeah.
You're just complaining online. Right. Under an anonymous name.
If you want a real change, you have to address the people who can affect the change, which is your legislature, your governing bodies. Work it up the chain.
I think, though, that sometimes finding that voice in an anonymous forum, though, is what gives you confidence.
Well, it's
safe. It's a safe place.
So
it gives you confidence.
I'm thinking clarity first. You know what you're passionate about. Then you use that forum as confidence to perfect your verbiage, or see if there's an audience.
Start a Reddit thread.
Exactly, and then take the ideas that other people funnel. Right. So that's actually something I wanted to touch on, was your values eventually become your vocabulary.
Right.
So, teachers explain things, right? That's what they're really good at doing. Artists describe things, or they see the beauty in things. Gardeners talk about growth. And so, what you love slowly becomes the language that you naturally speak. So finding yourself in those places, even if it's anonymously, gives yourself that confidence. Use those vocabulary words that you have already in your tool pocket. If it's something that you're, passionate about, or that you find is protecting your peace. And I think it's very valid too, Amber, because you were saying, that you are protecting your image. Or what was the word you said? Reputation. Thank you. It does a little better than image, but similar thing there. So you are protecting your reputation. So when you consider like the forum that you use for your voice,
right?
How can you protect, making sure that you are still protecting your whatever it is, right? Is it giving you peace? Because at some point, some of those things may not give you peace. If the thing that you're using your voice for isn't giving you peace, it's giving you stress or anxiety.
Or more anxiety, right.
Then are you really protecting the right things? It's just some things to think about, because I know some people like to be advocates for everything, and they get very passionate about, social injustice, moral injustice, and, you can go on social media and be a keyboard warrior for anything, right?
Oh, yeah.
But is it giving you peace?
Or is it just giving you more anxiety?
More anxiety. You've got to watch out for that, because they can be traps.
Right, because sometimes just letting yourself be riled up over something that bothers you, you're just allowing yourself to be riled up by something that bothers you. You're not actually
and that's what they want to do.
You're not actually doing anything to protect your peace or to make a change.
You're doing exactly what some of those people are trying to do, which is
rile you up.
Yeah, what do you call those?
Trolls, yeah.
Yes, trolls.
Rage baiting.
Rage baiting, yeah.
So watch out for the rage baiting, because you will lose your voice arguing to rage bait.
Right.
Because they are looking for holes to argue. They're deliberately looking to poke holes.
They may not even believe what they're posting. They're just looking for something to argue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so keep in mind, maybe finding your voice isn't inventing something new.
Right.
Yes.
At one point in my life, someone said, "Who do you look up to?" And I remember, like, all the kids in school, like, picking Oprah and this person and that person.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom Cruise and, all these, like, famous people. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't have anybody that I look up to. Like, I don't idolize. That was the word specifically.
Who do you idolize?
Yeah. And I realize now, I'm like, oh, I don't idolize anybody. Like, I don't like that term. It's very... risque.
Well, especially if you're raised in a Christian background, because that whole idea of,
I was about to say that's a sin.
Exactly.
That's
I didn't even
major
think
sin.
of that until I got older.
Idolatry.
And then I was like, wow, why is someone asking me to idol? Yeah. And so I was like, no, I don't have an obsession about anybody. Like, I think there's some people that are cool, but, like, I don't worship them.
Right.
To the extent, like, every moment of their life. And now I look back and I was like, I remember being a huge fan of Korn, and I probably did idolize them.
Right.
And now I'm like, wow, some years wasted, some brain cells, daydreaming about my favorite band.
The high school kids, like with the K-pop kids, and they like carry like little booklets of like the K-pop trading cards, and they hang them onto like their purse and stuff like that.
Or they're on their phone case.
I guess I never had like a band or actor or whatever that I did that to, like carried around like a picture,
Yeah, I remember all the girls were like Devin Sawa and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and there was a couple other boys. Golly, I remember when
Mine
you
was
were
Kiss.
Yeah, I remember when
Devin saw
who
with
was
Jonathan
that kid
Taylor
in Karate
Thomas,
Kid? He was all over all those magazines and stuff.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio. He was like in all those Teen Burst or whatever those magazines were called.
That's like Cindy's.
He
like
was not my type. Not my type.
But no, I mean like that's
too
your
scrawny and like straight nerdy cut nerdy. Yeah.
That would be like teens in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, to
the
that,
outsiders.
like, I kept feeling very left out. is that weird? Like, I felt like, why everybody
If
is
you
like
didn't
obsessed
obsessed over somebody, you were left out.
and like I did have an obsession, and then I was like, well, I'm done with that. And because I have obsessive compulsions, I wasn't like latching onto anything anymore. And I thought there was something wrong with me. Is that weird?
There is absolutely nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? And I just
nothing
kept like
wrong
searching,
with not obsessing over
and I
one
kept
thing.
trying to figure out like what it is. What am I passionate about? Because I keep jumping from hobby to craft to
And that's
this and that.
okay.
Yeah, but because
Jack of all
didn't,
trades, master of none.
right? But because I wasn't like just hooked on that one thing, you know, I kept thinking, okay, maybe it'll come around. I'll figure out what it is that I'm passionate about. And then I realized it's not, it doesn't have to be a person or a place. Right. It could be me.
Well, yeah.
So,
it's
know,
like really
and
hard
I'm like,
when you're picking a career, like when you don't have anything that you're like
Right.
passionate
you know
about.
what?
Like
And
you
I
could do so
honestly
many
felt
things.
that
I think a
way.
lot of kids feel that way too.
Well,
have
nowadays
always felt
it's
that
more
way. I want to
common.
do all the jobs.
Right.
I've
Honestly,
always
I want to know everything.
I
That
could
you know what?
pivot
You
from
want to know
being
what
a
I
teacher
idolize?
to do 10 other things.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the kids are like, why did you pick English? And I'm like, because I had a minor in English, not because I wanted to teach English.
Yeah.
If I had to pick something that I wanted to teach, it would have been like science or something, but I didn't have that degree in science.
Yeah.
That's funny, Amber, because I remember you taking geology. Did you take zoology?
I took geology, I took astronomy, I took biology.
That's right.
And
it's funny because I didn't think you cared so much for those. That's funny because you were so passionate about poetry and books and
but I can
reading.
be passionate about poetry and be
science,
passionate
of course.
about astronomy.
Yeah,
Right.
Of
Like
course.
Well, it's like me because I like science. I like knowing all that science. I like knowing all the literature.
I can be passionate about rocks.
Yeah.
And be passionate about stars. And love Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And like art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's uncovering what you've quietly been paying attention to all along, and just visiting those things. And that was what I was discovering. I didn't need to find something new.
Right.
It was just returning. That word keeps coming back.
Returning.
Maybe that needs to be your word of the year.
I'm pretty
Return
sure
to
it's
yourself.
gonna be.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, I know what song you're singing.
I had to.
If you know what song Amber just sang,
Please
you
comment.
can comment on MMC chat on our Facebook at any given time. You're welcome to post that song.
Okay,
You
sorry.
gave it away.
Yeah.
No,
you
I
sang
didn't.
too
I
much
said
of
it.
it. You sang too much of it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I really didn't. If you're not from the 90s, it's going to take
I'm not
like
from
a
the
minute.
90s.
You lived in the
Well, that's
90s.
true.
So
You lived in the
technically
90s. If
from the
you're a
90s.
young child, you're not going to get that song. Okay, keep
Yeah,
going, Kristen.
okay.
Sorry.
So, I think I asked all the questions, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss one. Oh, here's one. When was the last time you remember speaking up for yourself?
I have a problem with that because when I
You speak up for yourself too much?
No. Actually, I spent most of my life not speaking up for myself and not setting boundaries. And so people expect you to be a doormat.
Yep.
And then when you do
when you
stick up
suddenly
for your
start making boundaries,
everybody
people are freaking out and they're
Yes.
like, "Why are you changing?"
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
People
yeah.
people have a hard time with boundaries because they take it personal.
Yeah. And
Well, sure.
I think
yeah.
that's going back to that, just being clear on why your boundary is that way, and just reminding them that boundaries are set for ourselves.
And and things happen, like you get accused of being a narcissist because you're only thinking of yourself, and it's like, no, that's not true. And if you really knew what a narcissist was, you wouldn't say that. But they really do. People get angry when you stand up for yourself if you haven't done so before.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think people get angry even if you stand up for yourself all the time. I still think people are going to get angry.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there are people
That's
who
what I
take
said.
things
People
personally.
take boundaries personal.
They do. And
they're just walking along, and all of a sudden you put a wall up.
there, and they're like,
why?
who built this wall on my sidewalk?
Yeah, exactly.
But
yes.
it's like, but the
sidewalk.
point is, it's not your sidewalk, and this wall is the fence around my house, and I have to put that fence there to keep all the bunnies and the wolves and the coyotes and the skunks and all that stuff
keeping
out.
things in
and keep my
out.
Dog in
and
to
out.
keep
in and out. Yeah.
Yes, and just because there's a fence there doesn't mean that you can't come up to my fence and knock on the gate, and it doesn't mean I'm trying to keep you out. It just means that you need to be aware that I have this boundary here. This is my property. This is my internal peace that I'm protecting. And that's why I have to make this rule of this is how I want you to treat me.
Yeah.
And
again, and I think too, like, if you are setting boundaries for the first time, because I have a friend who is actually doing this in her 40 years of age, setting boundaries with family members where there were no boundaries.
Well, and I mean, it happens to me too.
And in a relationship where there were no boundaries.
Yeah.
And so she's now living independently for the first time in her life, and
my hand is raised here.
Yeah, right. And she is realizing, oh, this is my do-over chance to do it, live for me now and not for everybody else.
Yeah.
And the first time she put boundaries down, it really gave her the ick feeling, because it was somebody who made her feel uncomfortable, and she's trying to friend zone someone,
Yeah.
And because they weren't compatible, because they were also very needing of boundaries, right?
Right.
They also were someone learning how to set boundaries and saying, like, I value your friendship, and one of the things that I am working on is setting boundaries. As soon as you say that, they're going to be like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
Starting off with small ones, right? Test the waters.
Right.
Find a friend. Practice with your best friend who's non-judgmental, or a parent, and say, I'm practicing setting boundaries, and your loved ones understand, because they probably are going to be happy for you.
Sometimes.
Like that's a very hard.
Not if they're used to not having any boundaries.
And that's why I'm saying pick someone that you can have reciprocated respect, And I think that worked with her and I, because we set boundary together. And it was about our friendship and our time that we spent together.
Right.
And so she got to practice with me. I got to practice with her. Right. And then she would also bounce ideas off of me, like, how should I say this? I want to tell this person, blah, blah, blah.
ChatGPT helps with that too.
That too, right? Because she was also really self-conscious about her approach and how she sounded. So,
I need to, throw this out there just for our listeners, that while my two co-hosts are very pro Chat GTP for psychological purposes,
I do not log into it.
I am anti Chat GTP for psychological purposes.
See a therapist. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Well,
so I just want to throw out there that I don't really say anything when y'all talk a lot about Chat GTP, but I am not on the same level or board as my co-host, and I just want to put this out here to my listeners.
I agree with that too.
I'm fine with what y'all do, and y'all do you do you, boo. But that's not on my level of agreement.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and I will say, I also see, I have therapy in person with someone, and I run a lot of those things. Well, it's not
even that. It's just my own personal grievances with AI.
Well, and I have some of those as well. And like I said, Kristen logs in. She has a login.
I have a login too, but I use it for educational purposes.
She has built a repertoire with her AI that she's comfortable with. I never sign into ChatGPT or use anything where it can have personal information about me. The only time I ever sign in is if I need to upload a picture and ask the thing to identify what the picture is. And then I log out and then I move on, to a whole different screen because I don't want it collecting information about me, which I know that information's already out there all over the place, but I don't want it tied to my personal
I just have
account.
Personal concerns, and this is my anxiety about the world.
Oh, I do too.
In concerns to AI and
I've
data
watched
centers
Terminator.
and the environment and Terminator and everything like that. And I see what AI data centers are currently doing to my hometown.
Oh yeah,
and the town that I used to live in,
and
Kroll.
our electrical grid.
They have no water in their hometown because in Kroll, where I used to work, live, and teach, the AI data center that they built just outside that town has completely taken the town's water.
Right.
And now everybody is on a water restriction because all of the water is going to the data center.
Right, right.
So that is like my own personal grievance against AI data centers. And I know if you use the internet nowadays and your phone, you cannot escape
everything.
AI.
If you use any kind of computer,
you would
or
have
phone,
to completely abstain from technology to get away from AI.
Right.
But these data centers are coming, and they are going to affect the way that you live.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Especially if you live in a small town. Okay. That's I've said my piece. Now we can go back to talking about AI.
You found one of the places where you have a voice, Amber.
There we go.
You do.
That I am anti-data center, yes. And I'm that.
I get it. I get it.
And one thing that Greg Abbott did, say recently that he's going to restrict data centers in small towns.
Yeah.
And I can see what it's doing to the small towns that I lived in and grew up.
And for those of you who don't know, Greg Abbott is the current governor of Texas. So
yeah. Okay, go on.
Okay. I don't even know what I was saying. So, but
we're talking about
my
Chat
point
GTP, and that's a good question for Chat GTP.
You can use your friend. You can ask your friends. You can ask Chat GPT or whatever. How do I set a boundary in this area with this person who is going to be resistant? And it will. You can find ways to do that. You can talk about that with your therapist or whatever. But my point was that Chat GPT is a really fast and simple way to get. You can also look and do research on the internet.
Yeah. Or like Amber said, you could go on Reddit too if you feel like you absolutely have.
Well, Chat GTP pulls a lot of their stuff from Reddit
because that's all.
And Google AI does.
All of the AI does is it has searched the internet and it has all this information.
Yeah, it's like one database that you can use to find all of the stuff on the internet.
So it's just like using Google, except maybe a tick more information, a little more personable than Google.
I know Google's getting better.
It is. Well, Google is using AI now. So
yeah, Google AI is
your first answer on Google is not the top search
anymore.
It's not. It's the AI's compilation of what it found. So yeah, but that was my point. Was that very often the people closest to you are the ones who will be the most resistant to you setting boundaries because they're not used to you having boundaries, and they react often negatively towards those. So finding a way to ease into them, which is not to say you have to wait to set your boundaries or you can only make simple boundaries, but finding ways to approach them with those boundaries is part of the key to setting those boundaries so that people support you in those boundaries. And that's what you want in the end. You want for people to understand why your boundaries are what they are.
Hence the clarity. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And to support you in it.
Yeah. So I was also thinking about a previous episode that we had called the not to do list.
Oh, yes.
Because the not to do list was about deciding what isn't worthy of our time. And finding your voice is about deciding what is worthy of your words.
Right. Because you can't argue about everything.
Yeah, you really can't. And both are really exercises in stewardship of your attention, your energy, and ultimately your character.
Right.
So, had like kind of like a following little statement here for you guys. Maybe finding your voice isn't becoming louder. Maybe it's becoming rooted enough when you finally do speak.
Oh,
your words sound like you,
and they have meaning, not just.
But and that they sound like you, right? It's not borrowed from opinions. It's not fear. It's not performance. It's just a quiet confidence that comes from knowing what matters and having the courage to say it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to talk about conservation and what's your one little thing. We've probably all seen those ads, what's your thing, what's your one little thing. And that's what we're going to talk about. And it kind of flows with your voice. What's the one thing that is important to you conservation wise that you uphold? So
did I just answer that? No, I'm just kidding. I have more things.
We can talk more about that. I'm definitely talk more about that on that. So that's what we're going to talk about is conservation, because here we are in the middle of the summer and it's getting really hot. And
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on MMC Chat. Hit us up there. You can also find us on modernmusings.net. And again, we just want to thank you for coming by every Wednesday to hear our podcast. And we look forward to doing this again next week.
Absolutely.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.